What's up, fight fans? This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News, and I have some new news concerning Tyson, the Gypsy King Fury. Tyson Fury states that he is clearly the best heavyweight in the world. You know, Tyson Fury was involved in one hell of a fight Saturday night. One of the best fights that I've seen in a very long time, especially with heavyweights. You know, I'm still thinking, okay, what was better, the Vlad Joshua fight or this fight? You know, and if you wanted to count the knockdowns, it would definitely be this fight because you had more of them. You had more excitement. You had a lot of things. Now, was the fighting better? I mean, I don't know. I mean, you had a lot of, hey, man, he's about to go. You know, oh, no, he's about to go. So you had a lot of things, man, that happened in this fight that makes you think like, wow, this is one hell of a fight. Now, I would say Tyson Fury beating Deontay Wilder definitely keeps him in the top. It keeps him around the top. But does it make him the best heavyweight in the world? Now, you could argue and say, yeah, I mean, he was anyway. But what did he do last year? He did the exact same shit that he did this year. He fought one person both years, right? 2020 and 21. And then he beat the same guy both years, Deontay Wilder. And people used to shit on Deontay Wilder for this, that, and the other. He's not the top or whatever, but he was the champion for 10 years. And Tyson Fury dethroning that stopped that, okay? But where did it leave Tyson Fury compared to other fighters? Okay, where did it leave him to Joshua, Ruiz, Parker, which he'll never fight because they're friends. He's a part of the same camp, understandably. Who else is there? I mean, like anybody else that's there, he has not fought. Okay? And the only reason Otto Wallin made his case is because Otto Wallin gave him the toughest fight out of people we never heard of. Out of the four fighters, you have Pianeta, Safari, Schwartz, and Wallin. Out of those four guys, Otto Wallin, the last guy that he fought, was the guy that had the most resistance. That's why he's more noticed. All these other three you never heard of ever since then. So then you fight Wilder again, and then you beat the brakes off of Wilder, then all of a sudden you're the best fighter ever. Well, what was Wilder's scrutiny? Wilder's scrutiny was he didn't want to unify, he didn't want to fully unify with Joshua because he wanted to fight who? Ortiz again and Tyson Fury, of course. So, but it's like, okay, you already fought Tyson Fury. So that was a draw. But Tyson Fury was an unranked fighter that came back from a comeback after 3 years layoff. You know, you can argue like, well, Tyson Fury was a guy, in fact, he was off 3 years, partying, drinking, getting fat, and then he comes back and does what he does with Deontay Wilder, so he clearly must be the best. He might be the most determined to do what he's done. He's done some very, very spectacular things, extraordinary things, by overcoming the odds. Because everybody thought Wilder was going to knock him out. He was more active. He's been knocking out guys. He just came out of off a tough fight with Luis Ortiz, so that might have gained him the experience that he needed for someone like Tyson Fury, but no so. Tyson Fury was quicker. He's younger. He's taller. He's better reach. You know what I mean? Boxing IQ maybe a little better than Ortiz. Probably a lot better. I don't know. But at the end of the day, he drawed with that guy. Okay? And after that, it would be, he fought the four guys, right? And then he fought Wilder again and beat Wilder. Then all of a sudden he's the best. Well, wait a minute. How can he be the best if Tyson Fury hadn't fought the guy that dethroned Joshua, which was considered one of the best? Joshua, of course, got it back, but then he never fought him. He never fought Dillian White. Who else? And Usyk's in the picture. He hadn't fought Usyk, but Usyk wasn't in the picture as of yet in that time. But he was on his way to that level or that division. But then it's like so many people that he has not fought to claim anything but the same thing he's done before. See, what Tyson Fury did, he did successfully what Deontay Wilder tried to do. Okay? Wilder fought Ortiz, drawed with Tyson. Then he fought Brazil, the made-up mandatory for the WBC. He knocked him out, okay? But he was already beaten, so he wasn't really a, an escalator. Yeah, for a highlight reel, sure. But, I mean, who was Dominic Brazil really? He was maybe a C-plus fighter, maybe, at best. And then he fights Ortiz again, right? Which was kind of like, okay, well, why would you fight him again, right? So it's like, all right, then you fight Fury and get beat by Fury. Well, Fury and Wilder basically did the same thing, except Fury won his fights. He won the rematch against Wilder, right? So he won the rematch against Wilder. And then you fight Wilder again, but then you're the best. No. To be the best, you have to beat the best out there. Not beat the same guy over and over again, because that's exactly what he did. You know what I mean? Even if you argue that he beat Wilder 3 times, okay, that's 3 times you've beat the same guy that fought no one else just like yourself. The only up Tyson Fury has on Wilder is he beat Vladimir Klitschko 6 years ago. But I mean, come on, like, it's not what you've done a long time ago. It's what you've done lately. You know what I mean? Like, if he would have done or had a resume similar to Dillian White or Anthony Joshua, then he would be legit, because then he's fought, he's defended, he's beat, competed himself, challenged himself with some of the best fighters. And then I'm going to tell people why. I'm not hating on Tyson Fury. I think he is one of the top, but you can't claim to be the top fighter unless you fight the top fighters. So you beat Wilder. So who really says he was a top fighter? He was probably like maybe 4th after you beat him, because he was probably 3rd ranking anyway, just like he was in the Olympics. So you can't really argue, oh, well, he's one of the best. How? Who did he fight? Ortiz? How was Ortiz rated? Ortiz hadn't fought anyone. So if you start breaking down these layers of these fighters, they really haven't done anything but besides what they've already done. And what they've already done, we've seen Tyson Fury do last year, early last year. Damn near 2 years ago now. But people like, oh, I'm clearly the best. He claims to be the best. He may be the best, people. But at the end of the day, he has to show us that he's the best. Okay? You have to go then, fight your mandatory. Okay? Wilder's not a mandatory. Wilder was a guy that he had to fight due to a contract, okay? That's that. He beat him before, so how much praise will you get a guy for beating the piss out of a guy that he already beat the piss out of before? Counterpunch. I mean, this is what it is. This is unfiltered. This is not sugarcoating anything. This is telling you guys the way it is with Tyson Fury. He has to then go fight. If Usyk handles Joshua again, he has to fight Usyk. And then if he beats Usyk, then he would be considered. But that's only after he fights White, because we don't know what's going to happen in a Dillian White fight. Dillian White could go in there and upset Tyson Fury, because styles make fights. So don't congratulate someone that much. Sure, congratulate him for the victory. It was a spectacular fight, but what made it spectacular? The resistance. The resistance of Wilder, because, hey, I still have a puncher's chance, and he showed he had a puncher's chance after going down. He got 2 knockdowns of his own. Okay, that's what that was. That's what made it go, oh, ooh, right? That's what gave you that effect, because you seen a back and forth, like out of nowhere, here comes Wilder. Okay, so it's not all about Tyson Fury, right? The fight itself, the event itself was spectacular. But that spectacular event does not supersede you being the top fighter just because you did the same thing you did last year. Okay? It's redundant at that point. But anyway, it just looks better, but it's still redundant. But anyway, you guys tell me what you think about Tyson Fury saying that I am clearly the best heavyweight in the world. Of course, please subscribe. And you guys been Counterpunch. Peace.